بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good afternoon and welcome to the third session today. Today is the second day of the National Center for Family Business Sustainability. It's a conference organized by the National Center for Family Business in Saudi Arabia. My name is Dalal Rubayshi. I am an assistant professor in the College of Business Administration and Princess Noor University, and I am a researcher in family business and entrepreneurship. It is my great pleasure to be your host for this session. I would like to welcome you all and thank you for your interest in joining us. The title of our session is A New Dawn for Family Business Governance. In this session, our speakers will share their perspectives on innovation governance in family enterprises and how innovation governance is key for the future of family business, how it can be included in the overall governance structure and become part of the family business culture. Before we move on, I would like to share with you the structure of the session. The session will run for about 90 minutes, divided into 5 parts. We will start with a brief introduction of the session and the speakers, followed by presentation of our main speaker on family business governance and innovation in family business governance. We will then have a panel discussion on family business governance covering the perspective of Saudi family businesses. At the end, we will have a Q&A session where we will answer your questions. So please share your questions in the chat, in YouTube and through Twitter. Finally, we will end the session with concluding remarks. Now I would like to introduce our distinguished speakers joining us for this session. We have the pleasure of having Dr. Hisham Al-Ajami as our main speaker. Dr. Hisham is responsible of the activities of I&D Business School in Africa, Middle East, and South and Central Asia. His teaching expertise includes scenario planning, entrepreneurship, family business transformation, private and public partnership, and stakeholders engagement. After 15 years working with Swiss multinational companies, Dr. Al-Ajami worked with and consulted family businesses in the Middle East, Africa, India, and several Western Europe companies. He is the co-founder of Tharawat Family Business Forum, the leading network for family businesses in the MENA region. With his family, he built Orbis Terra Media, a global content studio based on Switzerland, which also published Tharawat magazine, an award-winning publication of family businesses and entrepreneurship around the world. We are also delighted to have with us Mr. عصام المهيدب. Mr. عصام is the Vice President of Industrial and Infrastructure Investment for المهيدب Group, a leading family business in Saudi Arabia. Prior to this, he was the CEO of Giant Store and General Manager of Dar al-Ma'arif. Mr. عصام holds chairmanship positions and board seats in many companies which operates across several industries. He holds an MSc in Industrial Engineering from University of Texas. I would like to leave the floor now to Dr. Hisham Al-Ajami to tell us about innovation governance in family enterprises. Dr. Hisham, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dalal, and thank you, Mr. Isam Al-Muhaydib, to be in this panel. It's a big honor. We know each other since long years, and I'm honored to have you in our panel and have also Dr. Dalal, who is distinguished researcher in family business in Saudi Arabia. Today, I'm talking, the title is The New Dawn of Family Business Governance. And I would like to, why I'm talking about innovation in governance in family enterprise. Why we are talking about that? Because the time is the right time, and the time is also there's a lot of sense of urgency on that. So I would like to divide my presentation into three parts. First, we will discuss about family governance, family business governance, give you an overview, and then we will talk about, And then we will talk about innovation in family firms, what kind of innovation happening in family firms and how we can classify this innovation. And then we will talk about what is the role of the several governance bodies in order to improve or to support this innovation in family business. This subject who a lot of people talked about, but maybe not from this angle. So for the first part is, let us talk about family business governance. I know that most of you are very familiar with the definition of family governance, but let us be aligned. I would like to share with you some slides in order to get together one common understanding about family governance, family business governance. So family business governance is based on the structure of the family. So in the family business environment, the ecosystem of the family business is the following. We have a family, we have a business, and what is bridging between both is we have owners of family owning the business, but we have also member of the family working in the business. And the most important one also, we have a goodwill. سمعة الشركة العائلية. Goodwill is very, very important in all the history. I worked 25 years now with family business in the region, and goodwill, it's one of the biggest priority. The family take care of it from the business side and also as a family. So goodwill also is an asset, but it's also sometimes is a challenge. So that is the ecosystem of family business. So how we look to the family business, if we zoom in the family business, we look to the several forces that is influencing the family business. The first force is the external one. Family business is a part of the ecosystem, as a part of the economy, so they have to perform, they have to employ people. There is the geopolitics, there's the macro trend, digitalization and all this. And also there's the non-family members who is working with the family. And also, as I mentioned before, there is the goodwill, public image. All this, there are challenges and forces that is the family business has to deal with. Internally, family business has other pressures. It is the informal rules that the family business dealing with, the vision, the hierarchy, the family pattern, the communication. Do we have enough communication? We don't have enough communication. All of this is our internal. But there is third dimension, third forces that is add complexity to a member of the family business, is his own pressure, his own personal, his own personal pressure. And this is about the perception of myself. I can do that or I could not do that. Disappointment. I wanted to have this position. It's given to my uncle or my cousin or my brother. And then the ambition, I can do the job, but do really I can do the job? This is all pressures that is in the personal pressure. So if we look to the map of these forces, family business is not an easy ecosystem. I'm talking about in general, not only Middle East. I worked with several family business in Germany, in Italy, in Holland, and it is the same pressures. So family business as a model in the world is the same. What is different is sometimes some of these forces play more important role than the others. So that is what's changed by the culture. But this is subject of analysis. Another thing is the emotion. And I like the cover of Sarawat magazine when they show emotion as hidden iceberg. Emotion does not express itself always, and especially in certain culture. I have to control my emotion because by respect or by love or by solidarity or something like that. But emotion is very important because that is the engine that is control our behavior. So how business is going sometimes in family business. When family business, we have always all these pressures and factors I talked to you about. We are people, we are having our ambitions, we're having our pressures and so on. So we would like to work with the business. Sometimes we like to give our signals, we like to give our opinion, we like to give our expertise, and sometimes it looks like that. And of course, the result will be like that. So why we need governance? Is it not enough to have management and to control such situation? We don't think so, because the difference is the governance, as anybody, any group of people working together need governance. So the governance is formulate expectation, divide roles, verifies performance. This is the three most important pillars of the governance. Okay, in a football team, you need governance because the expectation is to win. We divide role. There's people who defend, with people who attack, and verify performance. If the attacker is not scoring, we replace him or her. Now there's also women football. So that is the three pillars of governance. So any group of people working together need governance. It's not only the paper that we see, and so it is happening. It's a dynamic thing, and this evolve also, and it has a different degree of complexity. So Henry Ford said something very interesting. He said, coming together is a beginning. To come together, to sit together is a beginning. Keeping together is a progress, but working together is a success. So just explaining for a man who created an empire, his family business originally, who created an empire, he said, really working together is the success. His definition of success is how to work together. So we have several ways to look at governance. So what is the difference? Why management is not enough? Because management will run the business, but governance will run it properly. And I think this is the most important thing. There's transparency, as we said, we manage expectation, we divide role, and we control performance. That is the role of governance. It's not just paper and board meetings. Okay, so now we look to the same house, the family is aligned and clarifying the roles and managing their expectation. So what I will do, I will have impact and I will be successful business and increasing my impact when I increase my good governance. So here is, without entering, and all of this just to get an aligned together. So there is three components or three systems of the governance of family business. Family business governance is much more complex than any non-family business organization. Why? In non-family business organization, we have ownership governance, shareholders, and we have corporate governance, which is running the business. In family business, we have also family governance. And I can tell you, this is the one that's really most important one. So in the ownership governance, we talk about ownership expectation, role, and performance. And in the management or the corporate governance, we talk also about management expectation, role, and performance. In family governance, we talk about family expectation, roles, but also accountability. Accountability of the family. So a family business member working in the organization has a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure, more than a non-family business working in a family business. Because here I'm accountable vis-a-vis the family, because I'm running their assets, I'm running, it's a sense of honor, it is a goodwill and all of the things. So very important that these three are working together like a Swiss watch. So how each of these systems has rules and institutions. And we talk here about family. We have the famous family constitution, and we have several institutions. The most famous one of them is family council, there is family assembly, and of course there is other committees like talent, youth, family offices, startup committees, and so on. And we have the ownership governance has shareholder agreement, which is the rules, like the family constitution, but also we have an owner council and shareholder assembly. And the last one is the most easy one, is the corporate governance, because this is everybody can do it. There is rules, there is science, everybody can share this. The other two, it is really very specific to each family business, okay? Remember, in the corner there, all of these three have to work like a Swiss watch in harmony. It's not easy always, but at least we are agreeing now together that this is the three main components. One recommendation for you, and I know maybe a lot of people knows about it. Don't go in family constitution to write a book. Write something very simple that everybody can read and everybody can remember and everybody can apply. Big constitution with 100 pages, nobody read and it dies slowly. So just try to make things simple and keep the things simple. Keep the relationship between these three bodies, living relationship, and also very pragmatic. And this is the reason of success. But this is the structure. So we are aligned now, we define the structure. So how this governance system, is it something we write and then we forget about it? And maybe in 20 years we look at it? No. Governance is evolving with the family business every day and every year and with every generation. I'd like to share with you the following. Here is a famous matrix, show formal and complex structure of the family and the informal structure. We start here in the first generation. This is the owners, maybe the man and his wife and the founder, who make all the decisions. There's no problem here, everything is fine. It is the time of innovation, it's the time of creating values for the future family business. Then come in the second generation, become the family plus the sibling. Here, the owner is still there, running the business, but then he has another focus, is to growth and the development, the growth and the development of the next generation. Here is becoming, who is going to do what if I'm not there anymore? And then comes the third situation, third generation, what you call diverse cousins. It's cousins cutting together in the family. So what is the priority here is the family harmony. The family harmony is the most important. That is what save or destroy the organization. So a lot of effort will be on the family harmony. So we can see moving from business, creating business, to maintaining, to after that thing, looking to the harmony among this family in order to avoid conflict. And I think it's very important. We have this is a degree of complexity of the degree of the complexity of the structure of the family business. More you are moving with another, you're advancing in this generation. That's why we talk about the extended alliances in the fourth generation and so on. So I think this is an image that shows a lot of things. So a lot of people come and say, here's in this part between the second and third generation is the biggest problem. A matter of fact, we don't know why, because it is a study that's made in US and proved for people that family business disappear or are under pressure to disappear or discontinue or get in a conflict when it's moving from second to third generation. I don't think it is a matter of second to third generation. I think it's also a matter of how we deal with the business. And I was discussing with Isam, and we agreed that is, if the business is doing well, somewhere the family will do well. Somewhere, okay? If the business starts suffering, I think the family also will suffer, or start talking and start miscommunicating and then start and so on. So negotiations will start internally, who is responsible and so on. So, but if the business is doing well, I don't think it is a matter of which generation, but it's a matter of the sustainability of the business as well. I'm not saying that the other one is not important. So here is another format of this. We have the governance in one side and we have the business growth in one side. So I would like to share with you the following. So business governance starts very early normally. The founder, when he starts, one of the first things is he tried to create a board or sometimes advisory board or a group of people to think with him or with her. So that is, I think business governance is applied science, everybody knows about it. Then come what we call family governance and ownership governance. Some people, I have dotted line here, because some people start only in the second generation when he will see or she will see the children are growing and they have their own ambition, and they said, I'll better start. But some people start also early in the first generation to talk about family governance. Why is that? Because they may having a lot of children, they may have maybe sometimes several wives, and in the context of the Arab world, there's also a lot of things about the culture and also the impact on religion and what we are doing. So they may start very early talking about that. But the most important is the business is supposed to grow or maybe will decline. Happening in this. Why? Because not only again because of the second to third generation and the internal conflict or something like that. And I think I like very much the idea is when the business is doing good, the family will be okay. We will not fight. So if the business is doing that, the family will be okay. If the business doing that, declining, then we have a problem. So what is we are thinking here, not only the passage from one generation to another, but we are thinking here about how family business regenerates itself, how they bring new ideas, how they bring new innovation. And we call it here, and that is a research from Sarawat Family Business Forum, and we call it here the innovation space. The innovation space. Why is the innovation space? Because this is the moment that the number of the family is growing. We need to grow the business, okay? And we need to move out from the traditional business. Maybe originally we bought real estate, we invested in some retails, and we invested in maybe in some industry and so on. And then suddenly, when the business is doing okay, we don't think about innovation. It's only when there's crisis we start thinking about innovation. And that is sometimes too late. So some of the family business in the region, and I'm honored to really to work with them, they have started very early to stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship in their family in order to help the young generation to think differently away from the classic business they are in. And I can tell you there is some families who is very famous in the region about commodities, but in some countries, you will see them in 1 or 2 years ruling the fintech, the financial technology, because they allowed their young generation 3-4 years ago to start working in this area and they invested in them. So innovation space is very important, something you should look at. We have to think, of course, family constitution is very important, and family governance, ownership, shareholder agreement, and all these things is very important. But don't forget the side of the business, because if the business will decline, everybody will be in trouble. So innovation is the only choice. So when we, as I said before, when we are doing okay, we don't think about innovation, because innovation means uncertainty. And why I would think about uncertainty? I'm fine. I have my feet on the floor. My product is sold. My factory is working well. The real estate I have is very profitable. Why I have to think about innovation? It is really, it's very difficult to move from a comfortable zone to non-comfortable zone and start thinking about what if, and go to an uncertainty and start even investing in this uncertainty. But this is the people who will get the first advantage because they took some risk. So, but we'll discuss about that later on. So what's happening nowadays by us? We have the COVID. Everybody have the COVID. Here I'm in Switzerland. We have to be careful. The shops is closed. We could not take the trains without having a mask and so on. So everybody is affected on the planet. What happened in this? A lot of things happened. And I took just one extraction from an interview done by McKinsey. Many executives reported that they moved 20 to 25 times faster than they thought possible in what they are doing. 20 to 25 times in the last year. The pandemic started in January last year. In these 12 months, 20 to 25 times, talking about their supply chain, talking about how they serve the client, and talking about all this. This speed never seen before. Look to the vaccine. The vaccine, classically, people will have done it, the best research have done it in 10 years, and sometimes in 8 years or 10 years. But now they did it in 1 year, so it's possible. So the speed that we are living in now, it will not leave us in isolation. It will impact our business. Maybe we feel it or we don't feel it, but it is impacting while we are talking. So this is what Darwin was saying. Species who is going to adapt to change will survive. Not the strongest one, not the most intelligent one. We have to very quickly to adapt. But how family business can adapt to the change? You remember that we have in 2008 a crisis, financial crisis. A lot of family business suffered from that, and so on. Now it is different crisis. Now it needs a lot of innovation. And there is 5 types of innovation I would like to share with you. This came from a research that they done about family business in Germany. The 5 types of innovation. There is the innovation for product, and honestly, this is clear. We take the product, we improve some features, and we go to sell it in the market with a higher price. Process innovation, how to go faster to serve our client. Business model innovation. This is what's really very interesting. We teach that. We talk about explore and exploit. You exploit some things existing and you explore new ideas to add it in it. And then you go like Uber, who just exploited cars and they don't even own, but they explored new way of serving the client. So this is a change of business model. And then the managerial innovation, which is agility in the best management structure, and the service innovation, where how I can serve my client faster and better. So this is the 5 types of innovation. In the German study for family business in Germany, only focused in Germany, they found out that is most of the families are focusing on product innovation, less about process innovation and business model innovation, and hardly about managerial innovation and service innovation. So this is a very interesting research, of course. Even the German, I mean, one of the best family business, they are successful, they are technology driven, but the research said is not even enough because they are focusing a lot on the product innovation, and they have slowly to go through to process innovation and business model innovation to survive. Very interesting. So what kind of innovation we have in family business? Just I give you this matrix, and I will not make it longer for that because it's very important to understand when we talk about innovation, what does it mean? So innovation here, there's something called what we call incremental innovation. What's incremental innovation is improving existing technologies in existing market. You make your machine faster, you add certain component, but you are the same machine, but serving the same market. And then we have what we call progress innovation. And progress innovation is an adjacent technology to existing adjacent market. For example, we are in shipping, and then we will decide to open workshops to build ships. We are in printing currency, and then we will extend to do ATM machines or something like that. So that's adjacent technology. And then we have the breakthrough, which we would call the radical innovation. The radical innovation is entirely new technology in existing or adjacent market or entirely new market, or existing or adjacent technology going to new market. What is important here to understand, when we move from incremental innovation to radical innovation, we are increasing certain risk, and we are taking some risk, and we need extra investment, because investment is very important, because you have to try a lot of things in order to succeed. It's not something that you will invest in one innovation and it will succeed. You need about 10, 15 innovation in order to succeed some of them. And this is what the chance you can see nowadays in family business. A lot of families are replacing their family office now by what we call venture capital companies. Venture capital companies allow the family business to invest in several startups and to see what kind of startup will succeed, and then maybe to buy more or to adopt it or to integrate it or to remain to be a major shareholder. It takes risk, but its reward is very high. So what does it mean innovation for governance? Okay, you will tell me that is maybe it's the management, the CEO who has to do that. It's not enough anymore that the CEO have to do that. In family business, the governance have to play a big role. What I mean by the governance is the family governance and ownership governance and the corporate governance. And we are now creating in Sarawat a kind of assessment tool to understand this space. What is happening for all this kind of innovation? What's happening in the family? We try to give the family a kind of what we call X-ray about what's happening as innovation in the family. Is it enough to move on, or we have to increase the investment, or we have to reduce, or we have to manage better the risks and things like that? So this assessment tool will be soon available for family business in the region. Most important is when we talk about family business and the innovation, we have to remember about the enablers, the key factors of this innovation. Skills, involvement, and you will see why when I talk about involvement. The next slide will explain that better. Top-down relationship between owners, board, and management, and also teamwork, how to stimulate collaborative thinking and working together within the organization. Because innovation does not come with one corner, isolated corner. Innovation comes from a lot of places, and it can come from places that we don't expect. So we need this collaboration, this sharing of knowledge, this sharing of processes, and so on, in order to create what we call the innovation capacity of family business. In the governance system, in the three governance system that we said they have to work like a Swiss watch. The first one is we're talking about the family governance. What is the family should do in order to stimulate innovation? The first thing is to look long-term, to have a long-term orientation of their strategy. It's not quick money, it's not quick cash. Innovation will need some patience, some passion as well. Drive innovation culture in the family. Encourage the members of the family to come up with ideas. As I mentioned before, I know at least 5-6 family business in the region who encouraging young people in the family to make their own startup, spin off completely from the family. And we said to them, we'll give you maybe third of the capital to start with, but then go to the market and test your ideas and try to raise the other fund. This is where the market will tell you if you are successful or not. But we are here to support you. This confidence, this is space of protection for the young generation, stimulate a lot of the innovation in family business. The other thing is to encourage the various family business committees. We mentioned before this committee of talent, the committee, of taking care of the member of the family, and so it has to be, innovation has to be in their agenda. Family office, if you have an investment, think about it. How can we invest in things that we don't have yet, that maybe can bring us know-how, not only return on investment, but also know-how, because know-how has no price. So after that, we are talking about the role of the owner council, who is the highest authority or the highest hierarchically. Owner council is chosen by the shareholder assembly. So the owner council has also to integrate innovation in the shareholder vision. This is very important because this is a clear message after that to the board and to the management. We believe in the innovation that will bring the family to the next level. Put innovation of the agenda of meeting with the board. In the regular board meeting, the regular meeting between owner council and the board of the company, they should discuss about innovation. Stimulate family investment in R&D should come from the family council. Said we like to see a good percentage of investment in R&D and family ventures. Then the last one is the board. If this is happening, if the family council and the owner council is supporting, the role of the board will be very clear. And per consequence, the management also will understand what to do and what not to do. So very important is that the board discuss about the strategy of the innovation in their board agenda. Include innovation element in corporate government mission. In the doctrine of the governance should be innovation mentioned. And also very important to discuss with the CEO and his management team what is the result, what's happening in the project that we are investing in, how the innovation is progressing. I remember I had the pleasure to meet with the owner of Lego at IMD during dinner. It was a community meeting, and he said that he has 2 performance indicators. He has the financial, that comes through his income statement, balance sheet, all the ratios that he gets, but he has also the balance sheet of innovation. How many projects, how much we failed, how much we succeeded, because you have also to accept that failing is a part of, accepting to fail is one of the rule of the game for innovation, okay? So this is what we see, and we are working a lot on that now, because time is the right time to think about how innovation governance be integrated as an integrated part of family business in the family business governance. It is, as I mentioned before, and this is my last line. As I mentioned before, it is not easy to think out from comfort zone. When the business is going well, and when the business is going well, why I have to change? I have to do more of what I'm doing. And to increase maybe capacity of my factory, or to buy more of the real estate, or to increase the number of retail shops that I have. But this is doing business as usual. It has a merit, of course, and we need all to do that. But while we are doing that, we have to think about events that are unexpected. The uncertainty that brought us the COVID, nobody in the world has expected. And we are still discovering every day new variable and the new challenges due to this COVID. So my recommendation for family business who's listening to us, just try to look to your bodies in the family governance and the ownership governance, and also the corporate governance. How the discussion about innovation is going. What do we talk about innovation? How to encourage the young generation to go and maybe start improve their skills and to start up new ideas, and support them, give them a kind of umbrella of protection, not too much, because they have still to test their ideas in the market. And this can be a future business that you as a family business leader. So my conclusion here, when family business meet troubles, it's not only because family business is getting bigger and there's conflict internal and so on. It is also related to how fast the growth of the business and how innovative the family business are. So the COVID, in a way, came as a drama, as an epidemic, but it's also a blessing, because it's the time to think about innovation and how to drive your family business to the next level. With this, I finish my presentation. So thank you very much, and I hope that we will have other occasion to speak about this, because it's a very large and it's a very complicated field, and I think there's a great opportunity now to work on this while this COVID is changing all the landscape around us. So I wish you a lot of luck, and we hope that all the family business in the region will be more successful in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham, for this insightful and very informative presentation. Indeed, we usually think of family business governance as the three systems, which is the business governance, the ownership governance, and the family governance. But adding the innovation aspect to this system is a novel idea. This is even true because innovation lately in research in the family business domain, they found that innovation is the way for family business continuity. Usually family businesses are characterized by being traditional sometimes and conservative. So being innovative is what keeps the business going on. And we have also our fourth session for today's forum is about keeping the family business alive through transgenerational entrepreneurship. It will be at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham. And now we will move to the panel discussion where Mr. عصام is going to join us in discussing and sharing with us his perspective and governance in Saudi family businesses. So Mr. عصام, please.
شكرا دكتورة دلال وشكرا دكتور هشام على العرض. الحقيقة الIMD دائما يتحفوننا بنظرات جديدة.
Thank you ever so much for your insights, and thanks ever so much for your own presentations. Of course, we are at the national forum of the family business sustainability. We are speaking about an objective that still exists there, and it at the National Center for the Family Business Sustainability. And we have seen different models through innovation, which is an idea that has been explained by Dr. Hisham. There should be innovation, and the family business should also seek innovation and should have like a constitution or a law and should encourage their members to try and test their own innovations. Of course, governance is very important, and how the family businesses can be run and managed. And Dr. Hisham explained already this. Of course, family members who work in industrial or commerce go through different stages like foundational stage, and then development and growth, then from the first generation, the second generation, and third generation, and they need like their role in the governance to keep this sustainable. So I would like to cite and quote some statements been already referred to by the National Center for the family businesses and the role of the family businesses in the private sector in the national economy, whether for the Kenya Serbia or the global economy. We well know that today 800 billion reals being, of course, contributed by the private sector, which is the first driver. And this is a fact that has been established not here but also elsewhere, which is a key, of course, factor, a key indicator how such a country is considered developed or developing. And also this also reflects the Vision 2030 of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, how important the private sector to be enhanced or is being enhancing other industries, commerces. And we have seen, and there was a meeting for the General Public Investment Fund, and His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed also has referred to this, that the view to the private sector as the key, as the most important partner in this stage. And also the strategies and successes are based also on the private sector. So there's a special attention on the private sector for the great support of private sector for the national economy. So I would like also to speak about the innovation point. And this, in fact, this is not a point that is easy to approach. We have seen this different times. Probably the family business might be used to doing or to running different activities, and they don't want to derail their own business or get off track. So as I've seen so many family businesses, when, for example, they want to work in fintech industry or like such as say hotel or innovation or whatever it be, they depend heavily on the new generation, and they need like to feel easy, and they need to accept this. Of course, they probably
بس نجاح واحد قد يكفي.
projects might be like just one successful, while others might be failures. So it might be like more institutional or institutionalized. So it is something common how important innovation is over the course of time. So we need like innovation needs to be created, because at the beginning or infancy or inception of any company is driven by innovation, but this like needs 10-year, probably a 10-year span of time. This is a point that I wanted to draw your attention to, and I'd like to thank you ever so much for this big forum, and I hope it will be much helpful, much productive for all. I don't know whether Dr. Dalal want to add anything.
Well, frankly speaking, I have a lot of numerous questions I want to raise right now to Dr. Hisham Al-Ajmi. All I would like to concentrate on the governance in the family business as well. It's an important role as well. Just we have seen the model, the governance for family business and ownership, as well as mentioned by Dr. Hisham, that the corporate governance and the business governance in it, and ownership governance as well, they have been covered, and based on the consultations from the specialists as well. So, and the family governance, which is the third circle, of course, is completely different from one family business to another family business as well, because it's not one model for all family business as well. It depends on the family business as well, in which phase, in which stage. Is it in the first, second, or third generation? It depends on the structure of the family as well. And then, so is it a family that belongs to more than one mother, or so? There is no one methodology that can, one model that can be applied to all family businesses. Each family business is different from the other as well. As for the family governance and the family constitution that has been mentioned by Dr. Hisham, based on his piece of advice that he raised, that you don't have to write a book 100 pages. It's hard to read, but you can make something. You can write a short book that can be very clear. And we know all that in family there is a formal and informal governance as well. Something that's written, something that's not written, and lacks clarity. كل أعضاء الأسرة المشاركين في هذا النشاط العائلي موجودين ولكن غير مذكورين. So what is the first thing when the informal governance changed into formal rules, and how can they translate into reality from the informal into formal, which really differs from one family business to another family business? Well, how can they change this into institutional written methodology? أنا سوف أشير على هذا الأمر لو سوف لأن تعتمد على أسرة أو على نشاط.
And on the open discussion the family has and the degree of awareness that is the head of the family أو بسموه يعني كبير العائلة اللي هو الفاوندر normally, his or her understanding about the configuration of the family, how the family works. So I think bringing informal rules to written rules is not an easy job. It needs that people can see what's in it for them, why informal rules will protect them, will increase their success. So it's very important not to say for the people, we stop doing that, and we have to explain. There is a kind of awareness that you have to create in order to move from informal to formal. Because there's no secret, when you move from informal to formal, some people will lose things, lose authority, lose something. There is always a wise man who can give ideas, but now in the informal rules, we have to go through committee, for example, or something like that. But really, very important about this bridge, which is, in my opinion, should be a kind of session of talking and increasing awareness why we have to do what we have to do. It is not only for us, it is protecting the families, protecting the name of the families, protecting the future generation. And it is not comfortable discussion. It is not easy discussion. It is something people have to know, have to understand what's in it for them in this, by moving from informal to formal. And it is always depends on the culture of the family, how much communication is open. Is it a family with very hierarchical communication or open communication, where they meet together, they say what you think? I think it starts with awareness, increasing awareness. Why to move from one stage to another is very important. But I would love to hear what عصام think.
أستاذ عصام.
اي دكتورة، شوفي ما فيه one size fits all. مثل ما ذكرتي ترى يعتمد كل أسرة أول شيء غالبا ما يكون.
And generally speaking, let's say that the transfer or the movement from the formal into informal to formal, from informal to informal, and on the occasion of death of the founder, generally speaking, we call it for mainly because of the rules and the positions as well. But before that, the law was the milestone, the cornerstone to decide. Of course, after the death of the founder, we need a sort of adaptation by the family members as well. The first decision and the resolution taken by the family will actually determine the future of the family business as well. So and maybe just like the founder before death, he might, for example, give a certain kind of a recommendation, has a recommendation, who has a will, or just like he can tell them about a certain will, telling them about the roles of the future, that telling them that each one can can be responsible for a certain sector in the family business, covering the geographical provinces in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And each person or each hair is going to be responsible for a business in a certain area. Some families do not say that, don't come into this agreement. And generally speaking, so when they sit with one another, when they get together with one another, and of course they clarify everything, and they talk about, they cover the theme related to the board of directors, for instance. Sometimes they might ask some other external specialists or advisors or consultants as well, so that they can establish certain kind of committees, and or to determine the form of the management and the partnerships as well. So this is the discussion that has to happen and take place, by the family members.
custom made حسب الحاجة.
And sometimes it can be custom made according to the need as well. And in case of approval, everybody's going to know what he's going to do, but it has to be written as well within reason and within logic, and by distributing the responsibilities and the commitments of each person as well. And if there is some certain businesses, family business, you might have a very good relationship between one another as well. But I want to focus on the point that is mentioned by Dr. Hisham regarding if the family business performance is pretty good, and they achieving high profits, and they distribute very adequate profits to the members, that's going to be great for the stability of the family.
في البزنس نفسه قد تكون هذه الشراكة الخلافات لا سمح الله.
So what's really important to consider is to listen to each other, so as to to have a consensus on a certain system where to facilitate the work of the business itself, so as to achieve the quality of the business well. And the best time to do this is when they choose the time to have a consensus as well. Well, because they must have a system, not because of a conflict or because of a conflict or a problem, but they come into an agreement so as to determine the future of how to run the business. Of course, this is and in more than one session, most of the panelists talk about establishing
المشكلة أو تصير.
From early stages, you don't have to move until you face a problem, or until the problem becomes very complicated. Family problems. Mr. Sam, you mentioned the restructuring after the death of the founder, and the piece of advice that has to be provided during the life of the founder, in the life of the founder. And why? Because giving advice in a fortune is different, is much better than giving a misfortune, or when there is no problems, the piece of advice will be very practical. And here comes the importance of the innovation that has been provided by Dr. Hisham in this regard. So my question to Dr. Hisham, shall family business in the region, هل سيكون هناك دور للاستثمار العائلي لتطوير انواع جديده من الاستثمار؟ هل في حاله اذا كانت هناك فرصه في المستقبل يمكنك ان تشارك ذلك الافكار معنا؟ اعتقد من الصعب
things, because family business is each of them the universe, and our job also. I have a small family business, but also I'm consulting family business, and our job is to keep this things really until the family business itself talk about it. But I will give you some trends, what I'm seeing happening. The trend, and by the way, I like, before talking about the trends, one of the result of the COVID now, and I think a lot of people talk about it, is that is a lot of countries will start looking to localization of some of their activities. So it's not meaning that China we will finish importing from China, but we will start looking to localization. And this is a huge opportunity for family business, because government could not do that alone. Government is already taking care of the situation now because of the stimulus package and all of these things. But government will need to create, that's why we are talking about a new model also for private-public partnership between government and private business, which mainly in the Middle East and in the GCC is family business. So there will be a lot of need for accelerated innovation in the time to come, in order to support this localization of industries and activities. Some of the family business, especially in the kingdom, have started now 3-4 years ago introducing digitalization. Digitalization is enabler for innovation. Once you digitalize your processes, you can do a lot of things. And I don't like to put names, but you have in Riyadh fantastic models that they are driving innovation, that it became an international role model for some family business who come from somewhere to visit them. So the investment, what I'm looking for is certainly we will see a trend, and this is happening while we are talking. A lot of family business will go in the tech, what is it, fintech or health tech? That is something we will see coming in. And we will see a lot of changes because of the digitalization and the robotic and the data analytics and IoT and all of these things. This is happening while we are talking. What to do with all of this technology is something different, because I need to understand where my family business is going. And this is enablers. This technology are enabler to accelerate me to reach my target or to move to next level. So certainly technology, healthcare, and a lot of fintech will be an important activity in family business, say so.
Okay, and do you think that family businesses should co-invest more and build alliance with other family businesses in the country or in the region, maybe, in order to simulate this innovation?
I think this is must now, but it happened already in the region. It happened in the Saudi Arabia, it happened in UAE. There is some co-investment between family in Oman. There's some co-investment between family business. Very low key, but this will become now very necessary, because the demand is huge. The changes are huge. You could not face that alone. So we will see a lot of ventures between family business or co-investment or collaboration. We will see also more investment, co-investment with the government. So we are talking about a new model for private-public partnership or public-private partnership. It's a new model that will come out.
So what is the role of strong governance in this situations, in this collaboration?
That is very important, because if you go back to my slides, because if the family agreeing that this is part of their vision and their strategy to innovate, that's why you remember my slide where I'm talking what is the family council should do, what is the ownership council should do, and what is the board should do. If these people are in harmony together, like a Swiss watch that I mentioned, have to work together, I think going with venture for anybody is not a risk, because we know what we like to do and we know what we can do and what we could not do. So very important to have full understanding about innovation before going in ventures or going there. But the fact is, nobody has time anymore. It is a must do now, because things are, I was listening a very nice speech from the president of South Africa, because it's a country where I love and I work a lot. And he was saying, we are in the middle of the storm and there's damage. We're seeing the damage, but the damage will be more clear after the storm. So what he means is the landscape will be different. So the people who are thinking now about innovation, they will be winner for later on. So I think very important that innovation will be first very well implemented in the governance system of the family business before going sharing, creating ventures or going in a joint venture or something like that. But we will see more and more that, Dr. Dalal. We will see more and more, and it's happening while we are talking now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham. Indeed, we should have a strong governance before going into innovation and then collaboration with other families. Let's go one step back into the governance alone before innovation. And my question is to Mr. Isam. The three governance components, which is the ownership, business, and family, are usually overlapping, متداخلات مع بعضها in family businesses. How do you think family businesses in the region can run those three smoothly? What is your recommendation for family businesses in the region or in Saudi Arabia to run those three systems smoothly without having any problems?
اسمحي لي بس أعرج على السؤال اللي قبل شوي. أنا أعتقد أحياناً شوفي الgovernance هي
the governance is, there are different types of governance as well, and it might be considered or understood with comfortably, or there must be some sort of patience to understand exactly the governance. Why? Because anything new when we're talking about for instance innovation, and what matters me is innovation more governance. What comes first is innovation rather than governance, and of course, and this is, and I feel that this is more important than governance. And it's not underestimating governance, but when you are having a well-established business with the clarity, of course you can apply governance as well. In addition to whenever you have a startup, when we're talking about governance, we talk about governance. When we talk about governance, we talk about the role of the board of directors. We're all talking about, and we learned from Dr. Hisham, we learned from him that the role of the board of directors or the governance is divided into two main parts. The first, which is the support governmentally, and the other one is from the control and this expenditure, how the expenditure is run, is managed as well, and the spending of the family business running. But when you have a startup idea or a new idea, the role of the coaching and support and is highly required than control, and you have to take into granted this fact. So I wanted to focus, elaborate on this. Governance is not only control, but it means support, coaching. It means some other things, of course. It's not only the role of the board of directors, of course, which is adopted by the board of directors, but they must support, they must help in coaching, in supporting them as well, giving them the vision. And I think come back to the question. And your question was the governance, how family businesses. What is your piece of advice to family businesses? And And what is your recommendation that will help the sustainability of the family business as well, and how they can cooperate with one another as well? Generally speaking, let's say that the corporate governance as regards to the laws, the regulations, and there are many regulations organizing all of this, as the role of the independents, how many, and the responsibility of the board of directors, because this is the board of directors responsible for a number of responsible in front of the partners and the stakeholders. That's the reason why it has an important role to play, and it has a very clear role. Let's talk about family business. Well, in my point of view, there must be listening to the other point of view, and there must be looking for new solutions, alternative solutions, and they must be based on sessions and meeting sessions as well. So those who are decision makers based on the chairs that they have, or they have executive role, for instance, based just like being directors in somewhere. So they have authority, they have responsibility and obligation as well. So when they are a part of the family business and the governance of the family business governance, so I advise them to listen to each other, to listen to their partners, to develop the family business and family relationship between one another, and to enhance and strengthen it and reinforce it, and as well. They can actually they can go in a journey or a trip, so that you can have more time comfortably listening to each other. Some families, sometimes they, especially the young generations, each month and every month from one time to a time they meet one another and they listen to each other, and they have a family meeting, so that they have good intentions, and they have good intentions. This is very basic as well. This is very
مثل ما
they live with the family, when they meet together, when they have good intention as well. Once the business is pretty good, problems will be shrunk, problems will be under the table, will be under control. Once when they have good terms, when everything's sitting up pretty, so no problems on the service. Or we can say so as to avoid under still waters, being under still water deeps. That's what we want to avoid. So and once there is a growth in the business as well, there will be more compliance. I don't have any other piece of advice to give, but each family business, they have their own system, DNA, way of thinking, thinking methodology, certain culture, and each family business, of course, must do something that really in line with its culture, in line with its constituent and components of its culture. I strongly agree with you, Mr. Husam. We can sum it up into open communication. Sum it in one word: communication between the family members as well. I think that once there is open discussions and open discussion, especially matters that are related to very important and sensitive issues as well. And if we did not talk, if the family members did not talk for the time being, of course, and delay it, so there will be escalation of emerging new problems as well. So any word you feel ashamed of, you wouldn't do any good at all. So anything that you're ashamed of, you will never be saying it. So you don't have to feel embarrassed as well in saying the truth whenever, or just to give it. So when there is a problem, must be a solution as well, and don't have to be ashamed to give the solution, no matter if it's going to be sharp or not. So Dr. Hisham outlined the importance of open communication among the family members as well, and this is very important. If anything causing the problems as well, so we have to say the cause, because of the lack of open communication among the family members, and we need to establish open communication, there will be dysfunction, there will be lack of communication will lead to many catastrophic problems among the family members. Doctor, please let me just share. Based on what Mr. Husam said, I think it's very مهم جدا
and when to communicate, not only when the good things happening, but also when there's challenges. One of the best practice I saw in one of the family business in the region is what they call the youth council. What's happening in family council, in the family governance, there is a committee called the youth council, and the youth council sit with family council, who normally older people like me, sitting there, and we listen to them and we talk to them. but also they had a board, youth board, where the board sometimes meet with this youth board to communicate, and even the owner council meet with this youth council. Why is this important? Because the young people now look to the society in a different eyes, okay? And we like to anticipate their needs before it's become a revolt, honestly. We need to listen to them, because they look to, I mean, there is different, the people who is native in this digital world and social media, they have completely different view about values and success and so on. Success is not money for them, it's something achievement, is adding value to the community and so on. And I think it's very important, like Hassan is saying, to create multiple channels to communicate. And I found this best practice is amazing in this family. They really meet with them. There is a protocol. It's not something sit down and shut your mouth or something like that. Ihtiram. No, it is communication. And I had the pleasure to be in one of these debates, and I was surprised. I mean, it was so open and so coming with facts and figures and so on. Very polite, very respectful, but we talked fact and figures. Here is the company should go in this direction. We believe in this direction. Why and why not? Then the elder people said, look, this is our possibility. This is not our possibility. This dialogue was wonderful, and it's create an alert system for the family business.
I totally agree, Dr. Hisham, and I wrote it here as I want to mention it in your slide. Part of the family constitution is the talent committee,
yeah.
and also the youth committee. Yeah. And the youth committee is something that is new, and more family businesses are using it to really listen to the young generation and see what is their expectations and hear their voices in the family business. The talent committee also caught my attention. Usually talent committee, we see it in the business governance, but then it is also in the family constitution. Because first of all, we have to nourish the talent of the new generation. So can you talk about this for us, Dr. Hisham?
Well, I mean, I can talk 4 hours, but we don't have the time about talent, because this is one of the most important, subjects that we talk about. But why talent is under family governance? Because you may have talent who is not yet in business, or maybe does not want to be in the business. Okay, I don't like to lose these guys. I don't like to lose these girls and boys. I like to tell them, okay, we think that we are going in this direction and this direction as a family in the future. Why you don't start from now building capabilities in this area? And we will support you. I saw in a family business in Nigeria, that is the father very early, he knew that he has an ambition in airlines. All his kids, they were not involved in the business. He sent them to be a pilot and the engineer. Okay. The day he opened his company, he had a capability, he had a capacity, had the competences. So talent is something, unfortunately, is not always taken seriously, because it's human resource thing. It's not human resource thing. It's more than that. It's a dialogue about understanding the ambition of the youth and where they like to go, and how we can align that to the family business, and how can we get advantage as a family from this talent. So it is more than just a committee saying this guy is good, this guy is talented. It's more than that. Sometimes I saw young talent who could not express themselves always in a big crowd. They need, as I like very much that Sam reminded me about coaching, support and control. I mean, governance is not only control, it is also support. So some of them need individual coaching to get out what they are thinking. And you will be surprised how much talent in families, but they don't dare to express about it. So talent committees is a very critical one. We have, as I say, I can speak and give you a lot of examples of success stories and also some failures, because they put talent as a part of the Department of Human Resource. Is not the same.
Okay, let's move now to the Q&A session. We have a couple of questions from our audience. One of them is هناك لغط كبير في حوكمة الشركات العائلية، فهي مختلفة عن الحوكمة في الشركات العادية وتختلف من شركة عائلية إلى أخرى. ما هو منظوركم في هذا الموضوع؟
Governance, what's your comments in this? The difference between family business governance and the corporate governance. Yeah, of course. I can just cover this question. As a matter of fact, as for the governance, the concept, if I could understand the question as the board of directors members, or the agenda, or the invitation for meetings, or how it happens. Now today the system is different. The system guaranteed if it's a holding closed company or shareholding company in the market, or with a limited liability, or there are certain systems that are very clear for the priority of the board of directors and and the voting and the votes and holding and the meetings and how they hold the meetings, etc. There are clear rules regardless of the family businesses or the other corporates or government or private. So it's applied to all the different entities, and the responsibility is for all. So I don't think that there is unless there are some other examples to mention, for instance, as regards to the governance. But personally speaking, I didn't see big difference, recently in the recent years. But the system is clear as for the governance, the corporate governance, and the family business governance as well, which is it is committed by all, and is committed. Everybody's committed to the system as well. And I think that that governance as well, it's the way that governance is applied. Of course, is different, maybe, but the concept governance and its important position is very important. And let's talk clearly how to activate the role of the board of directors. How can you strengthen the role? Is it effective or not effective as well? But if the members are chosen, is it effective or not effective? Is not efficient, and maybe no matter if it's a corporate or family business. The second question about innovation. But innovation is a type of renewal of the family businesses. Is it coming from the young generation or from the first generation or a founding generation? Is the generation that imposes innovation process? Which generation determines the innovation? Is it the first founding? Yeah. It's very nice question. إنه سؤال رائع وسؤال مثير. لا مرة ثانية نعود إلى ما قاله السيد عصام فيما يتعلق بالتواصل ما بين
how the art and the way we communicate with each other, and the trust also we give for the young generation. I think if the older generation is refusing the new ideas, I think we have to keep trying to show. It depends also. There's 50-50 in all of this. Maybe the 50% is the older generation is refusing because it does not understand or does not see. You see that this young generation does not see the risk I'm seeing, and the other 50% in how, as a young generation, I'm communicating the idea. I could not. I saw a lot of ideas coming to the older generation who has nothing to do with the business at all, and sometimes for the older generation, they have no knowledge about that, so they could not accept any idea and so on. So there is two work to be done from both sides. From the younger generation, when you come with an idea, my recommendation: study first the vision and the strategy of the company, and try to show that is what kind of added value you will bring with your new business. Maybe it's not for the current business, but it's for the future business. I think you have to adopt to speak the language of the company in order to convince the older generation. I don't think that is, I mean, I am the older generation. I know that we make mistakes and we refuse sometimes good ideas and we refuse our younger generation to take risks. But I think when the younger generation takes the language and show me that with this, I will move on, not only with the current business, but maybe I'm opening a new horizon. So it's all in the language and the effort that we do. We have to prepare. I always say to the younger generation who are going to present to his father or grandfather a new idea, don't look at him as your father or grandfather only. Look at him as an investor. Prepare yourself as you are going to meet an investor who have no feeling for you. How you convince this investor with your ideas? And then the language is different. Then I can tell you the language is different. In somewhere, the younger generation is relying on the love that the older generation having for them and so on. And maybe they are, without conscience, they are using this. But if you looked at in the front that your parent or your uncles and who's sitting in front of you, they are potential investors, your language will be different, your preparation will be different. And this is what I recommend the younger generation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham. I think by this, those are the questions that were from the audience. If you want to add anything, Dr. Hisham or Mr. Isam.
I have a question for Isam, if I allow me.
Yes, of course.
Isam, I know that you are a person who knows the region very well. Okay, I know that you know Egypt, you know a lot of countries outside the GCC. If I ask you, what could be the biggest challenge family business in the network they know in these countries are facing now, what you will tell me?
أعتقد إحنا بالنسبة لنا أقدر أقول لك the number one challenge that we have is talent acquisition. Finding the right talent.
الاستثمار عليه هو إيجاد المواهب المناسبة والجيدة عادة.
يعني في leadership position, CEO roles, the idea is there, or the funding is available, but you are always looking for يعني great people that can help you along the way. For me that's the most important صراحة challenge. إذا تسمح لي دكتور، بس كان في سؤال الدكتور دلال تكلم على الفرق بين الأول جنريشن نيو جنريشن وما يخلونا نشتغل وكذا. أنا أعتقد نصيحتي.
By Dr. Dalal, I think that what is your piece of advice? My piece of advice to the young generation. يجب أن ننظر إليهم كمستثمرين. And my piece of advice to the young generation, they have to act as investors as well. And my piece of advice to the old generations as the piece to make the venture capital under the control of the young team. Let them learn, let the young generation learn, let them acquire the experience, and let them be pleased with the input, and how can they benefit from the multiple roles that you might come up with. And I think that I'm not sure whether or not Dr. Hisham will agree with me on this issue, this job, and I'm belong to different schools, but it's always on the job training. إن الأمر يتم من خلال تدريب على رأس العمل. I hope I answer your question, of course. أعتقد بأن لقد أحببت تلك الإجابة، وقد أعجبتني هذه الإجابة السيد عصام فيما يتعلق بوضع
investing before be invested in young generation by putting a formal structure, the capital and responsibility and so on. I think this is it's happening in some families, and it is successful. Even if it's a return of investment not so high, but the return on investment on talent is very high, because you will get people who knows how to speak, how to deal, how to do feasibility study, how to analyze the market, how to talk to bankers, and so on. And this is a real talent that you need for the growth in the family business. So I absolutely, I like very much what Hasham said.
100%. هذا في واحد I think he was working with Warren Buffett يمكن أو شيء، وتوه دخل عندهم وعطاله بورتفوليو، وفي التريدينج أول أسبوع طلع خسران يمكن $20 مليون أو شيء، فراح مقدم استقالته قال له والله أنا آسف يعني خسرتك 20 مليون، هذا استقالتي. قال له طالعه كذا، قال استقالتي.
I'm just submitting my resignation because I lost 20 millions. And Warren Buffett said, I'm investing in you no matter if you lost 20 or the main cause of the loss of $20 million. So it's إنه بناء الثقة. هذا هو الأمر. والمسؤولية وتحديد المسؤولية. أعتقد بأن ذلك هو ما يمكن أن نضع في الاعتبار. I thank the speakers, Dr. هشام العجمي, Mr. Hassan, and for their providing such informatics. شكرا جزيلا على تلك المعلومات الثرية التي قدمتوها من خلال تلك الجلسة، والتي قد أنارت عقولنا فيما يتعلق لحوكمة فيما يتعلق
and have a nice evening. Thank you so much.
مع السلامة.
شكرا لكم، ونشكر مرة ثانية المركز الوطني والملتقى على اهتمامهم بهالموضوع. شكرا، بارك الله فيكم جميعا.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا دكتورة. شكرا عصام.
شكرا دكتور.